Donald Trump had a court-mandated pre-sentencing meeting today related to his felony convictions in New York. This question and answer session with a probation officer is standard practice before a criminal is sentenced. But legal experts are now crying foul, saying Trump's experience today was highly unusual. Stick with me and I'll break it all down for you in the next few minutes. Donald Trump constantly cries about a two-tier justice system that mistreats him. But the truth is that he has received special treatment throughout his criminal trial in New York City. He said things during the trial that would have gotten any other criminal defendant's bail revoked, including attacking witnesses and the judge's family. And when Trump violated the judge's gag order 10 times, he was merely fined $1,000 for each instance. Any other criminal defendant would have been sitting in jail for the duration of the trial. Now that he's convicted, Trump is scheduled to be sentenced by Judge Juan Merchan on July 11th. But before that sentencing hearing, a criminal defendant has to meet with a probation officer. Richard Serafini, a former prosecutor, told the New York Daily News that the probation officer's job is to ask questions that will help them produce a report about the criminal defendant's life, so the judge has as much information as possible when sentencing them. The report includes personal information about a criminal defendant's health issues, social life, education, employment, etc. The probation officer is also there to see if the individual shows some regret for having committed the crime, whether they accept responsibility, and if they are sorry. Note that the meeting isn't conducted under oath, so Trump can just lie like he normally does, which I'm sure he did. Once the report is complete, Judge Juan Merchan will factor in the probation officer's report when considering what sentence to hand down to Trump. Well, we know already that Trump has definitely not accepted responsibility or expressed any regret. And based on a fundraising email that he sent out before the meeting, I think it's safe to assume that he didn't tell the probation officer anything along those lines. This guy has no shame and will fundraise off of anything. The fundraising email said the following: "Stand with Trump. I'm living the American nightmare. Can you believe this, friend? I'm actually about to speak to a probation officer about my rigged conviction. My only crime? Putting the American people ahead of the communists, Marxists, and fascists that want to see our country destroyed." It is incredible that we live in a timeline where a former US president and leading candidate of a major political party is even saying these things. Wow. But what really upset some people was the special treatment that Donald Trump received today. First, he was allowed to attend the meeting via Zoom call. Pre-sentencing meetings are usually conducted in person, allowing the probation officer to ask tough questions without outside interference. And second, Trump was allowed to have his lawyer, Todd Blanche, seated by his side the entire time. With his lawyer next to him, Trump could provide more polished answers from the comfort of his home. Public defender groups in New York City were outraged by this treatment. The Legal Aid Society issued a statement and said the following: "All people convicted of crimes should be allowed counsel in their probation interview, not just billionaires. This is just another example of our two-tiered system of justice. Pre-sentencing interviews with probation officers influence sentencing, and public defenders are deprived of joining their clients for these meetings. The option of joining these interviews virtually is typically not extended to the people we represent either." So, once again, Donald Trump received treatment not afforded to other criminal defendants. But he will continue to cry that he's not being treated fairly, while the actions of our criminal justice system towards him scream the opposite. Judge Juan Merchan will have a tough decision to make on July 11th when he sentences Trump. On one hand, Trump is an elderly first-time offender for a non-violent crime. That usually would mean he gets off with just probation. But a judge has to also factor in how a criminal defendant acted during this whole process. And Trump did everything wrong. Forcing the judge to issue a gag order because you couldn't stop attacking witnesses and the judge's family is not a sign of someone who deserves a light sentence. And what kind of message would it send to future criminal defendants if Judge Merchan didn't make an example out of Trump's misbehavior and lack of respect for the criminal justice system? These are difficult things for Judge Merchan to consider, but I hope he makes the right decision.